The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
Alrighty, it's time to talk about the characters. Again, the characters on this show are both literally and figuratively shallow, as in both intentionally and unintentionally so. So more of the weight here will probably go to their high points and low points versus any sort of character summary.
And here we go.
The leader of the Galactic Sentinels was Lori, aka Scorpio. In some ways, Lori was a ditzy, vapid cheerleader. She would often miss social cues, not understand that people were upset about certain things, and didn't really have a grasp of technical situations. However, Lori was also successful as well. Class president, leader of several clubs, doing charity work. I have an odd choice for Lori's high point. It's the 31st episode, The Imposter. Drew's Aunt Nicole arranges for Drew to have a role on her soap opera, but Drew turns the role down, finding TV to be vapid and useless. Though secretly it's because she can't act due to stage fright. Lori's all about things that are vapid and useless, so she auditions and wins the role. She's a bit annoying in following Drew and try to adopt her mannerisms for the role, but she shows a lot of dedication, especially when the role is only 2 lines and the character then dies. Lori unfortunately has a number of low points, as the writers love to pick on her for the idea of flipping the switch, showcasing a dramatic change in personality. I think the worst example of this is Penny for Your Thoughts, the 24th episode. Neuragula, a psychic monster, gives Lori the ability to read minds, but then starts seeding negative thoughts in that she's hearing in her mind from the other Sentinels. She is so insecure about this that she quits the team, giving up her post defending the planet because the other Sentinels are big meanie heads.
Shut up or fuck off, ideally both in either order.
That brings us to Gordon, the rich socialite. Gordon is a really frustrating character for me because he just consistently flies right in the face of what I think a hero should be. Now, there is room for an interesting character in that, an arrogant jerk who gets press-ganged into superhero duty and learns grace and humility through that. Except, as I've established, this show was allergic to the ideas of growth and change. Gordon is the same annoying, arrogant jerk at the end of the show that he was at the start. Gordon's high point, sadly, comes very early on in the previously mentioned 4th episode, Switch. Funny enough, this moment actually takes place in Lori's body, but it's still Gordon's character, so it counts. The team is disheartened that they're stuck in each other's bodies and feels like they can't win the fight this way. But Gordon, again through Lori's body, gives a little speech about the girls on the team being just as strong as the guys, so let's get out there and kick some monster tail. Gordon's low point is easy, though once again there are several. It comes in the 10th episode, The Rat, which funny enough once again features Gordon switching bodies with something. After months of dissing Swinton on an almost daily basis, Swinton finally finds the confidence to crack back on Gordon. Once. And Gordon is so shaken by this that he plots to make Swinton think that he's lost the rat he's doing a science experiment with, taking the rat with them to Nimbar's cave. Now, he does get his just desserts. He ends up trapped in the rat's body, as I mentioned there, and Swinton even makes him run the maze that he was trying to get the rat to do. But none of that made me forget how bad the original sin was.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Onward to Drew, my favorite character. Drew was a contrarian anti-conformist, a liberal poet focused on philosophy and counterculture. I said in the premiere that Drew reminded me very much of Kim Pine from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, a girl that you were half convinced planned to punch you right in the face the second she said hello. Drew's high point is the psychiatrist 2-parter. The writers clearly realized they only had one character that could carry a 2-part story, and she certainly did. Drew's fears at being discovered, her determination to continue being a superhero. It was all very inspiring and interesting to watch, and I definitely consider her the best actress on the show. Drew's low point, I think that comes in episode 9, The Quitter, which funny enough is another low point for Lori. Lori's mind is taken control of by Neuragula, not the last time that would happen, by the by, and she becomes this insanely attractive grunge-type girl who is selfish and focused on herself and doesn't care about saving the world or anything, and she ends up quitting the team. At one point, she and Drew almost come to blows over it. I do understand why Drew was so upset, but number one, she really could have more easily reasoned that this was the work of some kind of Gorganis monster, and two, this was a fellow Sentinel she was dealing with and trying to punch in the face. It just seemed like kind of an overreaction. Finally, for the main team, Swinton, the geeky nerd, thus the one I relate to most closely. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot to say about Swinton. He's definitely the most stock of the 4 Sentinels. He is Billy. He is Noah, the latter perhaps an even more direct comparison. Swinton's high point comes in the 19th episode, The Cover-Up. Swinton is captured by Gorganis and tempted with riches and power, but he holds fast to the hero lifestyle and is saved by the others. Swinton's low point is very clearly Mr. Popularity, the 27th episode. Swinton is hit with wish dust, which makes his wish to become popular be true, and upon the very first little taste of popularity, Swinton gets a huge swollen head thinking he's too big of a deal for his friends. He's only convinced to come to the cave when the other Sentinels lie and tell him that Nimbar plans to retire and have him take over. The mentor of the team, I guess, was Nimbar. Nimbar was a perfect example of this show's concept of taking Power Rangers and going even goofier with it. Zordon was a floating head in a tube. Weird, but still relatably humanoid. Nimbar was a giant pile of goo on a plate. Nimbar was one of those holiday Jell-O molds that went bad in the fridge. And when he stuck that humanoid hand out, oh, never mind, gonna barf just thinking about it. Nimbar's high point is actually a moment of humor, the 25th episode, The Chocolate War. The Sentinels are selling chocolate for charity and get hit with a competitiveness spell that ramps up the stakes. Gordon takes some chocolate to the cave to try and get Nimbar as a customer. I'm guessing that Nimbar would pay with some of those fuel diamonds. It turns out that chocolate is literally an intoxicating substance for, I believe the show says that members of Nimbar's species are called Nimians, and the episode ends with a drunken Nimbar slurringly telling the Sentinels how proud he is of them and how Earth is worth protecting because of his chocolate. Look at my hand! Nimbar's low point, it's really hard to choose just one. It kind of feels like in every recap video that I do, there's one character where I can't restrict myself to a single moment. Nimbar had a number of episodes where he's just very dismissive of the Sentinels and their feelings. Moments where they would be asking questions or expressing a serious heartfelt concern, and his response would be, "There's no time, get on the transo discs." A mostly unknown entry on the list of campiest villains, Emperor Gorganis still exists. Gorganis channeled Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget in just pure campy villainy. He goes a bit beyond most Power Rangers villains because while he does use the Monster of the Week tactics, there was usually wrapped around some kind of other greater plan. Much like Rita Repulsa, actually, which probably isn't a coincidence. Gorganis' high point is absolutely the episode named after him, the finale, It's a Gorganis Life. 39 episodes waiting for him to get off of his caped butt and actually do something, and when he did, it was glorious. A 2 or 3 minute long fight with Nitron that had the best fight choreography of the entire season. There's actually kind of an irony in this being his best moment, in that part of what made it special was that this was the only time it happened, but I wish it had happened a lot more. I have a specific low point for Emperor Gorganis, but I can't remember which episode it comes from, and I'm actually going to let that stand because it shows the impact of the character, or the lack thereof. It may have been multiple episodes, but I have this one distinct memory of an episode where Gorganis just didn't have a plan. He just sent the monster to cause chaos. It was an episode that was more directly focused on the Sentinels, I'll grant you that, but I just love when Gorganis had a really good juicy plan, like in my runner-up high point for him, the 6th episode, 3 Cheats to the Wind, where he sent Octodroid to blow up a nuclear power plant and to kill the Sentinels via salination. And now for a character that I have not mentioned to this point. Yes, I did not forget the comic relief. Emperor Gorganis has a pet bird thing called Lechner, and that's really all you can say about it. He was there as the comic relief, there to get smacked around when Gorganis was mad, or to make dumb, stupid jokes. Lechner's high point was the 35th episode, Emperor for a Day, when Gorganis goes on a vacation and Lechner nearly beats the Sentinels using random battle tactics. Lechner's low point was any other time he was on screen. Yes, I'm doing this again. He was dumb comic relief and was barely worth mentioning. So I'm going to fire off all the other side characters in this same take. Each of the Sentinels, besides Lori, interestingly enough, had a parental character that we saw in several episodes. Swinton's dad was a friendly but skeptical newspaper editor. Drew's aunt, because her parents got involved in some trouble that's alluded to but never explained on screen, as mentioned, is a soap opera actress. And Gordon's mother is the mayor of Beverly Hills. The only other character that we really hear about a lot is Sam, the manager of the coffee shop. Funny enough, he's only seen once on screen, and that's in an alternate reality. Gordon is the exact same arrogant jerk he was at the... Not the last time that would happen. Thank you! 1, she knows that Lori's mind is under control by a monster, and number 2... Wait, did she know at the time? Lechner's low point was basically any other time he was on screen. Yes, I'm doing this again. Yeah.